Now we have new reporting from the New York Times that Clint referenced that Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu encouraged Qatar to send millions of dollars a month to Gaza, which helped prop up the Hamas government, the people who live to kill Jews. According to the paper, which cites several people familiar with secret discussions between Qatari officials and Israel's Mossad intelligence agency, Netanyahu recently decided to continue allowing the money to enter the territory, that money that ultimately went to Hamas, which lives every day to kill Jews. The Times says this was a gamble for Netanyahu, who thought a steady flow of money would maintain peace in Gaza and keep Hamas focused on governing, not fighting. And yet, they also said during this war that Benjamin Netanyahu declared very quickly after the attack, even though his government could not respond to the attack and save people, said that they couldn't send fuel along with the humanitarian supplies because you cannot trust Hamas. You cannot give them anything because they will use it. They will not use it for civilians. They will use it for themselves. Back to the Times reporting. The payments were part of a string of decisions by Israeli leaders, all based on the fundamentally flawed assessment that Hamas was neither interested nor capable of a large-scale attack. Qatar had hoped the money would fund humanitarian goals like paying government salaries in Gaza and buying fuel to keep a power plant running. Israeli intelligence officials now believe the money played a role in the success of October 7th terrorist attacks. According to the paper, the donations allowed Hamas to divert some of its own budget toward military operations. Richard Haass, I'll send this to you. Your response to this new reporting. I mean, I don't know what to say.
Look, let me say two things.
Let's just say it out loud. Go ahead.
Look, first of all, this reflects a fundamental misreading of Hamas. The Israelis thought essentially they had a modus vivendi with Hamas. We'll let you get money. You'll focus a little bit on governing. We'll let some people from Gaza out every day to work in Israel. You won't do terrorism anymore. We'll all be fine. Meanwhile, you keep the Palestinian Authority off balance so we don't have to worry about the Palestinians coming together effectively for a state. So the Israelis thought they had a deal here. And what this, first of all, represented was a fundamental misreading of Hamas. Hamas hadn't changed. Hamas, in many ways, had lulled the Israelis into complacency. All these exercises they were doing, the Israelis started discounting, didn't take the threat of attacks seriously. So this is a fundamental Israeli intelligence failure, political failure, and then military failure, getting at your previous conversation with Clint, that the levels of readiness in the so-called Gaza division of the IDF were so low that the Israelis couldn't put together an effective response. So you've got all that. This will be the stuff when ultimately there's an inquiry, there's a commission set up and to look at all this. They're not going to lack for things to criticize. But we talked about it earlier. What I find so stunning about this, though, is the cynicism of Israeli policy. It wasn't just a misreading of Hamas. It was a conscious desire to promote Hamas as competition for the Palestinian Authority, which governs or tries to govern in the West Bank. The whole idea, if you keep the Palestinian leadership divided, then the Israelis will not have to deal with the possibility of a Palestinian state, so they could continue the status quo, continue to build or expand settlements and avoid some very difficult decisions, which Bibi Netanyahu's coalition wants to avoid. And that, to me, is the most cynical part of that. So it wasn't just an intelligence and defense misreading and lack of preparation, but it was a policy designed to undermine the entity you might have to negotiate with. Let me say, Mika, I've been involved in lots of negotiations, whether it was Northern Ireland or Cyprus or the Middle East or what have you. One of the first rules of negotiation is you try to empower the other side, not because you like them, but you need them to be willing to make deals and then live up to them afterwards. And what the Israelis did here was just the opposite. The whole goal was to weaken the Palestinian side so they wouldn't enter a deal, or if they did enter a deal, they couldn't live up to it, and then the Israelis could point their finger and say, hey, that's why we don't have to worry about peace here.
So deeply cynical, at least, but also sort of understanding that the United States and other allies at least sort of knew what was happening. But now that this story is crystal clear and put out in the New York Times, what do you suppose the reaction will be from Washington, from European capitals, some of whom already have real questions about how Israel is conducting this war?
Well, real questions about Benjamin Netanyahu's frame of mind to pursue this just stupid foreign policy. I mean, can you imagine if before 9/11 we'd given billions to Al-Qaeda to keep ourselves safer? I mean, this is so stupid. I can't believe that we're supposed to entertain some of the quotes that the Israeli spokesperson gave in the New York Times about this. I think this is hugely problematic politically for the Israelis, and I know that Netanyahu's got a tight grip on power, but I can't imagine this helping him.